Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There may be strong language and adult themes.
Why do you always say may as though it's hopeful that there won't be?
Yes, and we always quickly disprove that there may part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, it's just the disclaimer I always see on TV puts it that way, so.
Okay, so we got National Wildlife Day, right?
Oh boy.
Improve awareness of the species around us in a broader sense. The National Day focuses on endangered species preservation and conservation efforts around the world. Zoos, aviaries, and marine sanctuaries provide a variety of ways to get involved. Okay.
Yep.
Well, I was thinking about that, and with all the climate change that's going on, and us going to be actually creating an extinction event, I think we should probably take advantage of it as a way to get rid of all the animals that are trouble and have nothing but squirrels. Gray, red, white, black, just squirrels. Tufted ears, non-tufted ears. Maybe those colorful ones down in, is it Thailand, I think it is. Those real big ones that are like 2 feet long, but just nothing but squirrels.
Jenny, do you really want to torture everybody who's got ADHD like that?
Yes.
That everywhere they look, it'll be squirrel, 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 squirrel.
Yeah, I do.
Molly would love it.
Dog. Well, we wouldn't have any dogs anymore either. But okay, so we'll keep dogs and maybe cats.
Well, let's see. In the side chat, we've got Sumami and Mark Caesar and Ember.
Hi, kids.
Ember says she's still at work. Hello. Yeah, well, we have to keep cats.
No, we don't. You do. I don't.
Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria.
If we don't have cats, who's going to run the world?
Yeah, really. Can't leave it to people.
What? Okay, who was that?
What kind of people? Regular people or zombies?
Probably
zombies
be better off
do
the
have
zombies.
the advantage that they don't try to make small talk with you. I've never had a zombie come up and ask me how I'm doing when it's someone I don't know.
I don't ask people how they're doing because I really don't care.
Well, nobody cares, but they all ask. That's the part that keeps tripping me up is they ask and I give them an answer before I realize that they really didn't want an answer.
Well, that's why I like giving them an answer. They're going to ask you a stupid question like that. They should have to put up with the end results. Be responsible for your actions, you dope. Not you, them.
Yeah. Reggio says squirrels have been a nuisance around here, packing nuts into vehicle air systems. Yeah, actually, I lost my biggest table saw. Well, actually, I think it was a chipmunk, technically, not a squirrel. But because he had packed all of the sunflower seeds he stole from the bird feeder into the armature of the table saw. And I did not know this. I flipped the switch, and there was just a groan and a spark and a puff of smoke, and the breaker blew. Yeah, and it turned out that the armature had been so packed full of nuts that it couldn't turn.
That was their plan.
Yep. Yeah, and
beware of the squirrels.
And Ember's got a point that I was thinking of that. Yeah, I think what we're going to do is we're just going to make the planet, uninhabitable to our species. So yeah, squirrels are probably one of the ones with the better chance of survival. Squirrels are basically just rats that prefer to climb rather than be underground.
Tree rats.
Yep.
I wonder if we got rid of all the people, how long would it take nature to come back and own this place forever?
Probably quicker than you would expect.
Oh, I agree. I think that's true too.
There was a TV series called After People, which I thought was really excellent. That basically that was what was all about was that if the human race just disappeared, how would everything else do, in the days, months, and years after?
I question a
You know.
few things they came up with, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I do too, but they did do one episode that was about, what would happen to all the domestic cats.
They
And
become
basically
they
they were
become
envisioning, huh?
they become domesticated dinner.
No, no. Feral cats are pretty good at surviving.
I don't know. The squirrels can be pretty tough.
Yeah,
You know,
but I mean,
the reason I like squirrels is that they're the perfect creature to have as a pet. Okay, let me explain the ways. One, as a physical pet, as a dog or cat, type of relationship, they're wonderful. They're joyous. They run around. They have fun. They play. They eat out of your hand. They snuggle. They're just great little creatures. Two, um, they're predators. Okay, now they may only predate nuts and things, but you don't want to be taken over by walnuts or well lingonberries. Don't want to be taken over by lingonberries. And thirdly, when things go real bad, there's lots of recipes. They're they're perfect pet.
I've eaten squirrels.
Uh huh. Yeah. See, I know. Yeah. It's nothing unusual about that.
Yeah, my cousin's gone hunting squirrels with 22s, so that is one advantage of squirrels. You can take them down with the smallest caliber of arms.
Airsoft.
Probably.
Well, obviously, the best pet is the pet rock. You don't have to feed it. You don't have to give it water. Easily to train this stay and play dead.
Yeah, a friend of mine had tamed one he found in the wild. He brought it in and had it in his bedroom. He had a 50-pound pet rock.
That's more like a wife. That's not a pet. That's yes, pet rocks. I think is one of the most brilliant marketing ploys of all time.
Yeah.
They made millions.
Yeah,
I I think that's where when America turned the corner to and started to fall downhill.
Hmm. It's the invention of the pet rock.
Haven't there been other really stupid marketing things like that before?
Oh yes, I remember when my grandfather was somebody was trying to get into. It's a little box with a light. Like, so what's it do? Nothing. That's what it does. Right there. It's a little box with a light.
Okay, I've always liked that one that well, it used to be a wind up and then it went to batteries. Just a little hand that opens up and takes the coin or what the snatching bank.
yeah, yeah. Those mechanical banks. I don't know what happened to them, but when I was growing up, we had a collection of them. And some of them were really old. Some of them were, like cast metal pieces throughout.
Um, God, well, sorry, I forgot what I was going to say.
I have
Oh,
the best pet right here, Sammy Son. He is my bestest pal. He has won World's Greatest Roommate for the 7th year running, even though the voting does not start until next week. He's already got in the bag. Nobody's going to beat him.
But if you put him in a box, you don't even know if he's there, much less going to come out and grab the coin. And besides, it's a cat. It'd probably push the coin off.
No, actually, if you put a cat in a box and you put a hole just big enough for their arm, they will pretty much try to grab anything you put inside of the hole.
Maybe that was the inspiration for those grabbing in banks.
What if you owned a bar and it was like a kind of a gentleman's bar sort of situation, and in the basement, as you got to the bottom of the steps, there's a glory hole, but on the other side is a cat.
No, sir, I don't like it.
You could put all sorts of interesting things on the other side. Mark Caesar talks about a useless box. And actually, I remember a store up in Michigan many years ago used to sell a completely useless box because all it was a thick chunk of wood with a thinner chunk of wood hinged on for a lid. So you couldn't actually put anything in it. And you opened it up and it just said, "For the man who has nothing, a box to keep it in." Gustapishna papashka.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Hey, Dessa.
Hey, Commander.
Hello. Yeah, I showed Commander in the first episode of Zombieland Saga.
A homemade useless box? That's pretty cool. We should build one the size of the Pentagon. Wouldn't that be wild?
Well, we already have the Pentagon now.
Well, I'm just thinking, size-wise, just diameter. You could plant it next to it, and maybe it would attract the next missile. Or jet airliner or whatever.
Well, we don't need a useless box the size of the Pentagon. We already have the Pentagon.
Good point. Well, then we could put it in the middle of Indianapolis, downtown Indianapolis. We could put it there. It'd probably be about 30 stories tall. Take up a whole city block.
Did it ever occur to you that if you flip the Capitol building upside down, you would have the world's largest bowl of mixed nuts?
No, I hadn't thought of that. But I don't, maybe, no. What if they flipped over one of those old airship hangars?
Yeah, but it's not full of nuts to start with.
Well, no, you'd have to put some in there.
Yeah, see, the Capitol building is already full of nuts.
But if you did it to the dirigible hangar, it would give humans a thing to do. Okay, that it's our mission to harvest nuts, to grow them, harvest them, bring them to the site, and to put them in. Register, before you actually go in, so they know what you're doing your part, and dump some in there. And you could require it like on a monthly basis. All right, every 2 months.
I am now convinced we do not have Jenny here. This is 5 squirrels in a Jenny suit.
Huh?
All you want us to do is gather nuts for the winter.
Well, you got to feed the squirrels.
Yeah, well, that's why I think that you're actually a squirrel here.
I actually sat on my porch a while yesterday and watched a squirrel flitting around and burying shit in the front yard.
Yeah, my building posted a rule about not feeding the squirrels. Apparently, they felt we had so many of them, they were getting to be a nuisance.
Oh,
We've got a black squirrel who likes to torment the cats. He just climbs up right on the living room window screen because he knows they can't come through the screen.
yeah. See, that's one of the things about squirrels is they're that smart.
I just hope the squirrel's right on that because I'm afraid that one of these days Petunia's just going to bust the screen out. And I have no idea what she would do if she actually got outside.
She probably wouldn't know what to do either.
That's kind of my guess, but she also wouldn't know how to get back into the building.
I saw this lovely video of a full-grown female lion that they didn't give the details, but it had never been outside, and it was usually on a chain inside.
Mm. I think I
And
saw the video. Yeah.
and they rescued this big old lion and they put it in their um, building that has an outside door that leads to a cyclone fence type of cage with a door, and they left the door open to let the lion out into the yard, which I presume is fenced, but I don't know. Um, and just to watch it, see it take its first steps into the real world. It wasn't
Hey,
fearful.
Commander.
Like you see dogs sometimes.
Hello.
Um, but it was just beautiful to see it real, coming to the realization. Oh, there's more to the world than four walls and a chain around my neck.
Yeah.
It was really kind of beautiful.
Well, when I saw it, the captions, I don't know if it was the same video or something similar. That it was a lion that had been raised in captivity, and it was the first time it was outside, and it was just very cautious. But I thought that they were releasing it into a wildlife sanctuary. Okay, Mark, why do squirrels need to evolve any further? They can run up and down a tree like it's a level surface. What more do they need?
Maybe they are evolving. It's a very slow process.
Yeah.
I see a lot of them standing on their hind legs. Maybe they're going to become bipedal.
How to avoid getting hit by a car?
Well, they need to improve that part.
It might seem like they have thumbs, but they actually don't. That's the next step.
Thumbs are important.
I remember I had before I got the curtains and shades up on this house. So I saw this little baby squirrel looking through my window. He was sitting there looking, and he tapped on the glass and looked.
Yep. Some of them learn that if they tap on enough windows, they'll find somebody who will feed them.
I would feed them.
Yes, but what would you feed them to?
My family?
I had a cat, Tasha, that, she was an outside. Actually, she had been an inside cat for I guess I had her for like 3 years in my apartment. And then when I moved in with my ex, her cats were outside cats, so Tasha had to get used to going outside. And she would chase squirrels up the tree, and she was the only cat that I ever saw coming down a tree head first. So she apparently had learned to climb trees just from watching the squirrels and did it the same way they did.
I've never seen a cat come down from a tree. I always thought that there's like apartment buildings up there that the cats live in.
They do have a tendency to get stuck up there, yes.
Yeah, I had this cat that jumped from a second floor window to a tree and could not figure out how to get back. And the tree was at least, it was an old house, so it had 12-foot ceilings. So it was up there a good 20, 30, 25 feet. That's a lot.
Did you know squirrels actually can fall from very high places and not really suffer critical injury?
Yep. Well, when I was putting a new roof on that house, I found out that Tasha could climb ladders. She would come up on the roof to check on me. But she could not go down the ladder. She could only come up. I'd always have to carry her down.
Well, somebody needs to put I'm being saved gene into a cat, so they know when they really don't need to use their claws.
Yeah. So, Mommy, I do have a thing that I don't eat friends. So if it came down to it in the apocalypse, yeah, I would probably eat my neighbors before I would eat my cats. Then again, I have some neighbors who could be outsmarted by a cow, so I wouldn't feel too bad about them.
So, Mommy, did the after you sent the squirrel out, did it continue coming around and go in and out of the house if it wanted to? And squirrels do not hibernate. People think they do, but they don't.
Yeah.
What's your favorite way, Amber? I kind of like roast.
Okay, Robert X needs to unwind before going to bed.
Aw. Did you win?
Yeah. The only problem with eating humans, you have to avoid the prion disease.
Well, that's okay. You just put them in quarantine for 6 months and see if they act normal.
Well, I mean, it's not really an issue, if you understand, proper kitchen sterilization, you cook it properly.
Well, prions
That's
cannot be destroyed that way.
Prions are very different.
Oh, okay. I guess I don't know.
Prions are abnormally folded proteins, and when they come in contact with other proteins, they abnormally fold them too. And at first, it's like not a big deal, but then as more and more proteins get folded, the process of cell death and mutation just increases exponentially.
I used to have a customer who was a doctor of some sort. I don't remember exactly. Who was studying prions for his living. He was always interesting to talk to. And then he died when he went to his own country of lithium for a lithium.
Country of lithium.
Yeah, Lithuania.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
Oh well, if you need lithium, it could be a vacation.
A highly charged place, I hear.
But he was swimming in a lake that he apparently grew up by and stuff. His wife told me this, that he grew up by, and he drowned. It's like, how can that happen? He was old enough that he could have had cardiac condition of some sort, but it was sad. He was a very, very nice man.
Yeah. So the prions, the heat doesn't kill them?
Nope.
Huh. I thought 10 minutes at above 160 degrees would kill anything that was dangerous to humans.
Well, you see, that's the thing. Prions aren't alive.
Yeah, well, you're saying they're a protein. So I would think the protein would start to break down at that temperature.
Well, I don't know the details of that. I certainly heard that.
You need a temperature above 900 degrees.
Oh. Yeah, yeah, I think the meat would be kind of tough at that point.
I think it would have stopped being meat by that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically you'd have a chunk of carbon, but
How would you like your carbon cooked?
Cajun style.
And aren't zombies really just people with bad prions?
Zombies were people too now.
Well, I understand that, but they're not anymore. So we get to shoot them and all that kind of good stuff. That's why we have zombies. So it can be violent without concern. Of course, then that perverted itself too. That it was no longer just zombies, and they named themselves, organized, named themselves, and even started wearing these red hats so you knew who they were.
Well, if a zombie wakes up, it's perfectly normal.
Can zombies recover?
Yeah, that cartoon. He
that's
Mage
what we're
showed
talking
me a
about.
cartoon.
Zombieland Saga.
It's delightfully sick. It's delightfully sick. Everyone should watch it.
Yeah, I like
Where
it.
do
So,
you get it?
well, like I said, I believe the first season you can watch for free on YouTube, but I was planning on doing a little watch party on
No,
my
you have to
Discord.
pay money for
Oh, you
it.
have to pay for money for that? Oh,
I paid money for it.
okay. So,
okay, Mark Caesar is
yeah.
asking if abnormally folded crayons are the reason for some cancers.
Don't know.
New cancer is different.
Yeah, cancer's where your own personal cells have gone crazy and reproduce like mad.
Yeah.
But they still carry your DNA.
Yeah, cancer is when the cells don't get the message to stop reproducing.
Yeah, basically you have everything working in sort of in symbiosis, and cancer is basically the cells that go rogue.
Yep.
And
Which
stop
is
playing
why,
well
if
with
you
others.
think about it, humans are a cancer on this planet. Humans per se would not be a planet for the ecology at large. It's just that we've, overproduced far beyond what we can support.
Sumami, I think the Creutzfeldt name is only used in the human situation. I don't know what they call it other than mad cow or whatever they call it with the deer.
I thought with the deer it was just mad cow disease still. Just that the wild deer somehow were picking it up from the cows.
Well, they ate people. Cows got it because of sheep.
I thought that cows got it because they were actually to put more protein into the cow feed, that they were actually grinding the cow brains back and feeding it back to the cows
Yep.
because
They got
people don't want to buy brains.
yep,
Hmm.
they got it from sheep.
Okay, I didn't know the sheep were involved, but yeah. Oh, there.
Ooh,
It's
BSE.
used when it comes from cattle, but in bovines, it's bovine spongiform encephalopathy.
In deer, its street name is uh, wasting deer syndrome.
Ah,
Wasted
yeah,
something or
I
other.
have heard that term.
Yeah, I remember the case of a deer that had hair growing out of its eyes.
Yeah,
Pardon me.
The deer had hair growing out of its eyes. It had other problems as well, but
that must have been really uncomfortable.
it yeah it had some issues, and they shot it and put it down because it had wandered in and was behaving oddly into human habitat, which was not normal for them. And when they checked it out, the thing had hair growing out of its eyes.
Yeah, so I take it the deer, actually probably originally got it from domesticated cattle, probably from eating the cattle's feed if they got to it, but oh,
Yeah, I had just before the show started, I had watched episode 8 of Zombieland Saga. It was the rather emotional episode.
Now, are there normal people in the cast?
Uh, sort of. They're more
okay.
side people.
I'm encouraged by the sort of, because if you had just given a straight yes, I'd be less interested in it. You
I
know.
mean, there's you have the normal people they sometimes encounter and get freaked out.
Well, I'm not much interested in anybody who identifies as normal.
I think it was episode 4 was pretty fun where this one lady kept running into zombies in their zombie form and freaking out all night.
Now, when they bite a human or try to eat your brains, um, and say they miss and they bite off your arm, do you automatically become a zombie, or can you
Mm,
wash the wound really well?
no, you're fine. These zombies don't spread.
Okay, so there's no like zombie training program or anything like that.
They just have to wake up so they act like normal humans.
Oh,
Uh,
well, that's convenient. Alarm clocks, or you have to shake them on the shoulder.
Well, in the show, they woke him up by they have him perform a, a metal concert.
Oh, well, that's kind of a copy from Mars Attacks when they killed them all with Slim Whitman, which I thought was kind of a nasty thing to do to Slim Whitman. I mean, you may not like his music, but he had his fans.
No, only one of them didn't wake up, and she just tries so hard. You gotta love her.
well, I take it that, with the traditional zombies, yeah, that basically the virus or whatever was carried in their saliva.
Yeah,
So
these
it was
are
more like if the saliva made contact with your blood, then you got infected.
yeah, these are created through necromancy, so they're not virus or magic.
Okay, so the zombies aren't contagious.
Necromancy is a dying art.
And there's them with their human makeup to make them look passable as humans.
Oh, they're so cute.
Yes, they are.
Is Miku a zombie?
Hmm?
Miku.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
So apparently, if you zap them with electricity, they will become auto-tuned Vocaloids.
Oh, like Lara Trump.
Out-of-tune Vocaloids.
Yeah, have you heard her newest song? She's so bad.
She sings or
She
tries
sings
to.
out. She sings out of tune. She actually hits these grotesquely flat notes when she's trying to sing. And somebody recorded her in the studio. This is a legitimate effort on her part. Recorded her and applied auto tune, and they had to. It seems that though they had to use so much of auto tune to get her voice to be tolerable. It sounds like robotic auto tune, like when they do that purposely to make it sound bizarre.
I wonder what it would sound like if I tried to sing something and you put it through auto-tune. I can't expect the results to be much better.
I'm sure autotune can fix anybody if you tweak it right.
Well, they definitely fixed her. And there's people who actually say, "Oh, well, she sings really nice." You know, well, you're a MAGA. What do you know? Nobody normal thinks she sounds good. they can't. They no matter how hard they fix her, they can't. She's still a bad singer.
Well, someone has started to ask what has happened to all of the money that was donated to Trump's campaign. Because apparently there are like hundreds of millions of dollars they can't account for.
No.
Except that Trump paid them to an organization that was being run by Laura Trump. And where the money went after that, no one knows.
And this is surprising how?
No, it's only surprising that somebody's actually bringing it up now and looking into it, and that there's a possibility that somebody could file a fraud case against him, for mishandling the campaign funds.
So how many fraud convictions has he had?
34 so far.
No, that's the felonies.
Oh, no, yeah.
He's got a bunch of fraud convictions on top of that.
Well, most of the fraud cases haven't come to trial yet. They're still working on it.
Well, he's gone through two cases. The insurance and bank loan scam, where he valued things differently depending on what he's trying to do with those numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And he was convicted of some fraud charges on his phony university.
Yeah. He made him shut that down and give the money back to whoever was left.
Yeah, it's also funny that the Plan 2025, says in there that no one convicted of a felony could ever hold the position in the federal government.
Oh, well, that would
and it goes
eliminate
on
most
to
Republicans.
yeah, it goes on to list out a bunch of specific things, including fraud and embezzlement and so forth. And it's like, yeah, you basically listed everyone who runs the RNC.
Now I don't have the sound on, and I didn't choose to put this on. It just came on because it was its turn. There's one of those court shows on, and by the pictures, I have my glasses off, so I can't read the text. It's too small. But by the pictures, it seems that somebody is suing somebody else, and something to do with that. It has to do with those really, really horrible looking gigantic butts that women are having put on themselves, like the Kardashians.
Oh,
Whoever thought that was attractive really needs their head examined.
well, that's what made the Kardashians famous.
Shoot. Lost commander.
We gotta get Commander better Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Any rate, I came across this from the Thinking Atheist.
TWA Church, is it owned by the airline?
What church? TW.
Yeah.
The winner's assembly is what it's supposed to be. But when I first looked at those, I was like, "Oh, this couldn't be real." Well, I did some looking around and I found this post on Reddit. So it's the same image, and got this from another angle. So it's the same. It's real. And I happen to come across them on Facebook.
Appreciation. Does that say service? It's a participation trophy.
There's another church sign like that I had seen. Now I can't remember what it stood for, but was like Community United something. But yeah, so the sign with the cross spelled out "cunt church."
So we got the twat church here.
Well, then
Get the two of them together. They should get along really well.
God damn it. It's religion.
Yeah,
Oh.
people need to, look at these logos before they adopt them and put them up. I think one of the tests they should do is show it to a couple of 13-year-old boys, and if they laugh at it, don't use it.
That might work, assuming they can read.
Yeah, it's a pretty simple test.
Actually, it stands for Texas Winners Assembly. So
okay.
The Winners
Amanda
Assembly.
Just said they got a phone call, so.
The Winners Assembly. What a stupid fucking name.
TWA, and then put a little cross at next to it, and we get twat.
Well, if that's all it takes, why haven't I gotten a cross and put it next to it? Well, never mind.
Texas Wrestling Academy. Yeah, why are Christians so cross?
Well, they have a Messiah who's well hung.
Yeah, if he had been beheaded, would they all be wearing like a little guillotine or a little executioner's axe?
Yeah, probably.
And they don't understand why Jesus hasn't come back. He probably came back, but he just didn't announce himself. He's probably just been walking around the planet doing normal things all this time and not wanting to reveal himself, because it's like, why are these freaks so obsessed with death?
God, these people are walking around the symbol thing that killed me. I ain't revealing myself to this.
I would like Jesus to come back so that we can find out if Jesus can see himself in a mirror, and if you can take a picture of him.
I don't think he's a vampire.
How do you know?
Well, most people seem to say that he would actually be a lich.
Be a what? A witch?
Lich.
A lich.
I don't know what a lich is.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
It's basically a necromancer who's brought himself back or came back to life.
Yeah.
It's an undead creature.
Ah.
Yeah, a reanimated corpse.
And so undead means you had to have been dead at some point and then brought back.
Yeah,
Effectively, we're going back to zombies again.
Okay, I didn't understand that.
yeah, zombies and
Hmm.
vampires.
I had a guy that worked at my shop who was into character stuff and painting like military men and all that kind of stuff
Hmm.
that boys like to do so much. And he did a really artful job on one. It was great detail, and it was only about 3, maybe 4 inches high, and it was an undead pizza delivery man. And did a perfect copy of the Domino's logo on the box. It was really quite funny.
Yeah, back in the day, I had done. I had kit bashed all the ships from the Starfleet technical manual, and excuse me. One of the ones in there was a tug. Just a basically the tug was just the saucer section and 2 engines with an empty space instead of a secondary hole that was supposed to just hook up to cargo canisters. So then I did one of the cargo canisters painted in orange and black and just did as alien van lines instead of allied.
Okay.
Sorry, that took more explanation than I was thinking it was going to take when I first started, so it kind of lost it.
Oh, this is kind of interesting. Various works of fantasy, such as Clark Gergaston Smith, is the Empire of the Necromancer, 1932, had used lich as a general term for any corpse, animated or inanimate, before the term in specific use in fantasy role-playing games.
Yeah, I wasn't quite clear what the distinction was between a lich and a zombie, except I guess the lich, had the original human intelligence back.
Often used as a creature as a result of a willful transformation as a powerful wizard skilled in necromancy who seeks eternal life. It uses rare substances in a magical ritual to become undead. Unlike zombie, these which are often depicted as mindless liches or sapient revenants, maintaining the previous intelligence magical abilities.
Anytime we talk about, or not just we, but anytime I'm involved in a conversation that has to do with undead and all that kind of weird stuff, I always think of the Jeff Goldblum movie Fly, The Fly, a remake of the 50s, 1950s flick.
Yeah, I never saw the Jeff Goldblum version.
It's a good one. We'll have to do a watch for a bit.
It's very creepy when he starts turning and fingers are falling off and something. It's just real, matter of fact.
That's what put Cronenberg his Cronenberg abominations on the map.
But in the 1950s thing, the guy grew into a fly, a normal sized fly, except with a human head.
Other way around.
Well,
his head and his one of his arms became the fly.
No. I'm not talking about Goldblum. I'm talking about the 50s.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. In the 50s, that is his head and his arm became the fly. And
no! In the very end,
the fly had
there's
his
a last
head.
shot of the fly, and he's a fly body, normal size, with a guy's head.
Yeah, the fly had the human head. Yep.
The fly had the human head and arm.
Okay, and Goldblum, really I don't really recall the end, to be honest, but it looks like he was developing into like a 6-foot tall fly.
Yeah, he was turning into this fly, sort of. Well, it didn't really look like a fly, but it was. Yeah, he turned into this big creature. And there's a sequel to the movie as well.
Jeff Goldblum?
No, there's another Fly movie. This is a sequel to that Jeff Goldblum in Fly. The Fly 2, dealing with his son. And interestingly enough, there was actually more than this one Fly movie for the original as well.
Did Gina Davis become the mother of the son?
Yeah.
Ew.
She gave birth, and egg case and all that.
Oh yeah, that's major.
I would think that, if a woman has an egg case and the eggs haven't hatched, it is still valid to do an abortion at that point.
Oh, and it's really sad what they did to the dog
In the movie.
in the sequel. Yeah.
Okay, I don't think I want to hear.
Yeah.
If you remember how they did what they did with the chimp in the first one,
No, I don't.
when he was trying to practice and they didn't get it right, they kind of did it with the dog.
Why would they use a dog for that? Ew.
Well, they were an evil corporation trying to recreate the teleportation stuff, so they.
Oh.
Yeah, you got to
Yeah.
make them hateable.
Yeah.
That's actually a rating trope that is literally called "kick the dog." That's how you show that the villain is, evil and heartless. Is just have him abuse an animal.
Well, now we can just switch it to shoot the dog for the real life equivalent.
Yeah, that's yeah, what's her name? Who was the Republican that put that in her autobiography?
Yeah.
About taking the dog to the gravel pit.
Oh, Christy Nome,
Yeah.
Governor of South Carolina. Which, of course, was the right thing to do, as she explained.
I couldn't train the dog, so I just shot it.
Yeah.
God, that's just mentioning that again makes me so mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she was on the wrong end of the rifle for that one.
I mean, it's okay to give up on training a dog. Some dogs are beyond a given person's talents, but you don't fucking shoot them. You take them to somebody else who's a pro trainer.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, and it sounded like the problem was just that the dog was acting like a dog. But yeah, let's not stay on that. I was trying to find a picture here and I can't find it. Yeah.
I think we should try to integrate all the words that we have that relate to or are defined as all the synonyms of mean or awful, and try to fit Republican in there quite permanently in the dictionary. Because cruelty is their specialty.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I heard recently was we should stop using cocksucker as a negative, because cocksuckers bring pleasure. Instead, we should replace it with cockbiter.
Okay. I could go with that because, yeah, I just using cocksucker as a negative is like really putting down my best talent. Jenny doesn't have a response for that? Okay.
No. If you want to do that for a living, that's just fine.
Well,
personally,
I never did it professionally. I didn't get paid for it.
Yeah, see, that's the problem. If you're not getting paid, why do that? Ugh.
Because if I'm not getting paid, I can be picky about who I do it for.
Well, bodily autonomy, you can refuse anybody.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. In prostitution, you often have to make compromises like that, just to keep the money coming in and keep a reputation.
Now, that's something I have thought about a few times with this mega assholes and Project 2025 is if that society were to develop, they're going to have legal prostitution, but just for the Nazi leaders. And I'm just wondering how that would be, how that would work.
Largely the same way it works now. It would be illegal, but of course, they know where to find it when they want it.
Yeah, but I think they'd want to make it a total. I think they would force trans women to be the prostitutes. I'm serious.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, wherever the Republican convention is, it's trans and gay prostitutes that are really on call.
Yeah, and clogging the clogging the software grinder so bad it shut down, like in Milwaukee.
Yeah, who was somebody had gone into the Republican convention undercover, and because Grinder has that feature of showing people who are in your local area, that they set that off and like 100 cell phones in there went off.
And that particular part of Milwaukee, there would be a lot of um, streetwise covert locations to do that sort of thing.
Well, yeah, if you know the local area, if you know where to find them.
Oh baby, there's underground caverns there.
Yep. Why are underground caverns always the place to go? Yeah, there's a couple places in the Twin Cities like that, like some tunnels under the U of M, and there's the opening to a tunnel that used to be part of the streetcar system that the other end got closed off.
Well, I can't speak for Minneapolis, but in Milwaukee, there's all those caverns because of breweries needing to chill their product.
Yeah, well,
And I've been in those damn things. They're pretty fucking scary. There's no electric lights. They didn't have those back then, and they're old. And some of them there's water dripping. Just like you'd think something that could be in a horror film.
yeah, there's a number of breweries and now abandoned breweries around the Twin Cities,
And
so
and
they
and
probably
if
had similar things.
and if you buy a piece of property or a building that is on top of the caverns, you own the caverns too now.
Well, that would make sense. I mean, if you're buying the piece of land, you're not just buying the surface, you're buying the right to dig down into it, to put a foundation in a building and so forth.
Well, a friend of mine was looking for a building to buy, and he came upon this one that was for sale and ended up having caverns. And then he decided he was going to explore the caverns and with a tape measure and a compass and try to find where they were directed past his building and property and see if any led to a bank basement or something like that. Mm-hmm. They didn't, but he tried.
Oh no, Perp, it wasn't, or Mark, it wasn't on Tinder. It was on Grinder, which is basically a service for gays to hook up. And there's just one setting on there that it will tell you, anytime somebody within a certain radius activates the app. So if you're not picky and you just want somebody close by,
Come on, let's do a circle jerk. All right, I'll call somebody. Who do we get? Oh, him? I didn't know. I wonder if Lindsey Graham used that. Excuse me, Lady G. I forgot.
I wonder when you turn on that app on Grinder, does it, like point out all the churches in the area?
Why? Well, okay, yeah, that probably would be useful. There's not many churches in that area in Milwaukee. There's one big one up the hill at St. John's Park, or Cathedral Square, as it's called.
Yeah, well, talking about the guy, the tunnels under his property and where they went.
Oh.
That
he wasn't into that.
No, but I mean those tunnels. From time to time, they have found those, that will go to like an adjacent property or a property nearby, that were, left over from the Prohibition days. Why do I keep stopping the conversation?
I don't know.
You're talented.
Well, I'm half asleep, so maybe I'm just,
Well, they say at every party, you can generally observe that a party has a lull, an ongoing lull that turns on and off about every 7 to 12 minutes. I think that was the numbers. But it's predictable that a party will just hit a flat spot every once in a while.
yeah. Well, I mean, they've known for decades that most people don't have an attention span of more than 7 minutes.
Mm.
Which is why, TV, the standard TV shows, why they had a commercial break every 7 minutes. Because they figured that people weren't going to be able to follow the story if they didn't pause it every 7 minutes to distract them with something else and then go back to it. And that's standard TV programs, that if it was a half-hour program, it had a break in the middle. If it was an hour program, it had breaks at 7, 14, and 21 minutes.
Why would there be a guy in an elephant suit wearing a basketball uniform doing somersaults on TV?
He must be a mascot for some team. I mean, if you can do somersaults in that kind of costume, you're fairly athletic.
I wonder if they can do a handstand with the nose. Now that would be talent.
Yeah.
So, has anybody been following the latest episodes of Donnie and Vincey? Vince? Got to come up with a name for them.
Well, just that Trump is winding up doing campaigns in small communities and mostly sundown towns.
Heard about that.
Yeah, so it's like he's not going to get any extra votes that way, but he is more likely to wind up his base to do something violent if he doesn't win.
Want to explain what a sundown town is?
Yeah, sundown towns were towns that they used to literally have laws in some of them that anyone who was too melanin enriched would have to be inside after sundown. And even if there weren't laws, it was just known it was very dangerous for them to walk around.
Except you really should stop saying were, because they still fucking exist.
Yeah.
And that's where Trump has been going for his little rallies.
Yep. Yeah, because
I hadn't heard that. That's interesting.
It's where he knows he has loyal followers that he can whip up into a frenzy.
I heard somebody talking about why Trump has the kind of following and stuff he does. And he got right into it and says, well, it's because of stupidity. And he described Trump, or I should say a study on Trump's that was done based on his vocabulary and speaking style and things that established his intelligence level somewhere around a 73 IQ. 100 being allegedly normal.
Average, yeah.
Yeah.
And they said if you listen to him, he talks exactly like a person with that kind of intelligence level which would basically be somebody in about the third grade, fourth grade. And he says, and if you listen to their followers, the mass of them are about the same intelligence. And so the mass of them see him when he first showed up as, wow, a guy running for office that I can understand,
Yeah, it speaks
who talks to me.
Yeah, he speaks at a fourth grade level.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I don't think it's so much a matter of intelligence as poor education. I think it's more that people who, might be fairly smart, but just have been fed bad information for all their life.
Yeah, I've run into that with some of them.
I think people tend to use intelligence and education pretty interchangeably.
Yeah.
But anyways, so it goes on that that these people will go to the ends of the earth for him because he is one of them as far as these folks are concerned, because he talks the same and they understand him, and he doesn't use big words because he doesn't know any.
Yep.
I'm not so
Well,
sure if he doesn't know them. It might be
excuse me.
it might just be that he knows to not use the term, use them.
No, I don't think he knows them.
yeah, I don't think he has a very large vocabulary.
I mean, I've seen statements by like 3 or 4 of his various college professors and stuff that said this is the dumbest person I've ever met.
Yep.
And that they were a lousy student, and there's rumors going around that somebody else took his SATs to get him into college to begin with. So I think it's entirely possible that he just doesn't know any, and he's just that dumb.
Yeah, I
this is
thought that
possible.
he had gotten into college basically because his father had made a large enough donation to the university.
Maybe.
Yeah. But the main problem Trump seems to have, especially now, and I think this shows a decline from when he ran in 2016, that it's not just not staying on topic, it's that he doesn't realize now when he's going off on a tangent and, just totally loses the thread of what he was supposed to be talking about. It's just like he can't seem to finish a coherent sentence anymore.
I would presume that everybody here has heard that extremely damaging statement, because there are people who will absolutely believe it, that Trump made in the last week about sending your kid to school and they have an operation and come back with a sex change.
Yeah, a couple days later they come back with a sex change.
Yeah.
No, I had not heard that one.
Yep.
It doesn't surprise me they said it. I just hadn't heard that.
Yeah, it was completely disjointed when he said it.
Yeah.
But you know that there's MAGA stupid enough that they're going to believe that.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a certain percentage of people that will believe everything he said because they see him as the new Messiah. They literally take his word as gospel.
Yeah.
I did see one person praying to Trump.
Well, they made a fucking golden idol of him. I mean, anyone who claimed to be Christian, who continued to follow Trump after they made a golden idol of him, obviously doesn't care what the Bible says. They just love Trump. But then again, most of them probably don't know what the Bible says. They only know the cherry-picked passages that their pastor has quoted from the pulpit.
No, the vast majority of Christians have never read a stitch of the Bible.
Yeah, or if they have, they've only read the New Testament. Not that, even just reading the New Testament alone, there are enough contradictions and problems that you should question it, but
There's a guy on TikTok that I know. His screen name is Cyber Bob, and he apparently used to be a minister or pastor, something like that, and has been to divinity school and college for theology and different things like this, and is brilliant. He's um, actually was raised Jewish, and he knows how to read Hebrew, and he knows how to read Greek. And he's just this real average looking guy and sounding guy. He's very, very nice. But you get these Bible beaters that think that they can save everyone, come in and try to challenge him that, oh, you don't really know this or that.
yeah.
And he just quotes the Bible, just, oh, well, verse this, chapter this, verse this says blah, blah, blah. And people compare it and go, oh, he's got that every word.
Yep.
So it's really quite impressive. And he's given up. He's decided that, religion is just a bunch of bunk.
Mhm.
And he made it his life mission to not let people get caught up in it if he can.
Yeah, well, that's when I read the Bible as a teenager, most of the people I discussed it with had read it in Hebrew.
Oh, and here's the guy praying to Trump.
Somebody tag in Donald Trump. Donald Trump, if you can hear us, please, Donald Trump,
At first,
please save me.
Yeah, at first
Please
I
save
thought
me,
this was
Donald
a
Trump, please.
joke.
I'm asking you. Please save me.
So now
Please
he
save
thinks
me.
that
Please
Donald
get
Trump's
these
a
people
psychic.
away from me.
Oh my God.
In dear God's name, please stop these people.
We see, wait, hold on. See, there's a cop in the corner there.
Oh, okay. So he thinks Trump's going to save him from the cop arresting him.
Yeah, that's like when I first watched it, I thought it was a joke until I saw this part where they had a cop busting in his window.
Yeah, until I saw the cop in the window, I couldn't figure out what he was praying about.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to guess he's one of those, sovereign citizen guys if the cop had to break his window to get to him.
Actually, if you watch
I'm not doing anything, sir. I'm a believer in the Lord. I'm the Lord's child. I promise you. Give me a.
What were you saying, Jay?
Donald.
If you watch some of these civil rights attorneys on YouTube, and some of the auditors that only focus on cops arresting people and stuff like that in traffic stops. No, you don't have to necessarily have to have done anything for the cops to do that. They have taught me that there are really that many insane cops that will bust through your window and do whatever they think they have to do to arrest you, even though it is 100% against your constitutional rights to, for how the interaction was going. So no, that doesn't surprise me at all.
I'm wondering what the story was with his arrest, because we saw the other cop in the background had their gun pulled.
Well, that's another thing. People getting the gun pulled on them for a goddamn traffic stop.
Well, I could see the cop having his gun pulled, if they ask the guy, like, for his ID, and he just has rolled up the window and locked the car. I can see the cop thinking that he may wind up being dangerous.
Yeah, except that you're not required to give your ID unless they have an articulable, descriptive crime that you have committed or suspected of committing. If they cannot state what crime you are committing, they have no constitutional right to your ID. None. And you can just tell them to piss off. And you can say piss off because that's legal too. although they still like to hassle you and beat on you and arrest you and stuff like that because you used a bad word, but you always get released. Unless they beat you to death, of course.
I found that being polite to the cops is often a good way to get out traffic tickets, but of course, that also, had to do with I was presenting as a white cis male.
Well, sometimes you're not getting even arrested for a traffic. There's this video, and this even made the local news and was quite an issue for some time. An old guy in his mid 60s who had gone to see his daughter and their new baby. This is somewhere up in Washington, Oregon, something like that. And he was coming home. It was like a 12-hour drive, and he felt the need to pull over in a parking lot and sleep for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And the cop who lived in that neighborhood decided that he's got to hassle this guy. So he apparently got dressed and everything in his little uniform and ended up beating the hell out of this guy because he was in a parking lot taking a nap.
Wait a second. This cop wasn't on duty.
Nope. Well, cops are technically on duty 24 hours. And I'm sure that's what he had in mind. But they broke like 3 or 4 ribs. Well, they separated his shoulder. He had all kinds of cuts and bruises on him. They beat him up.
Okay, no, cops are only on duty when they're on their shift and wearing uniform. At other times, they are required to be first responders, but they're not actually on duty.
Well, the end result of this case was that, of course, the guy was found completely innocent and had huge apologies from the police department and the police union, and I guess he won some $2 million settlement for it. And that this is not some soft sit. No, and Mark, no, I'm not turning into a soft sit. There are just some very serious fucking losing brains. Some very serious allegations of what the cops are doing to people in completely unconstitutional, against the law ways. And you go and you watch some of these. Yeah, there are a lot of them are produced by the soft sit type of idiot. But it's still, according to the civil rights attorneys, this is all legitimate. These people are really fucking bad.
I remember the reason my mom's asshole boyfriend stopped being a cop. When he came down here, the police station asked him, "Okay, if you caught the chief of police, doing something illegal, would you arrest him?" And he's like, "Yeah." And that was apparently the wrong answer.
Yeah.
Mark, yes, I have the guy whose actual name is the civil rights lawyer. Yes, I have watched him. He's very, very good. He really knows his stuff, and he looks perfectly normal. He's not a crazy soft sit guy. He's just a damn good lawyer. Yeah, that is the same guy, Tsunami.
Yeah, the guy
no,
praying
I'm
to
sorry.
Trump.
I didn't finish your first sentence before I said that. Duh.
Yeah, the guy praying to Trump, clearly, at that point, it was some type of mental delusion. If he actually thought that Trump was going to hear him praying to him.
Yeah, I was wondering what prompted the interaction to begin with as well. It doesn't really get into details.
Well, I was just guessing that it probably started with a routine traffic stop. But then again, he was in the passenger seat, wasn't he?
Most people film backwards.
Yeah, looks like he was streaming while he was driving, so maybe he was screwed up with driving while streaming.
Yeah, well, I was figuring it was some kind of traffic stop, that he was driving erratically or something, or just had a tail light out. But one thing I would like to point out, as far as the soft sits go and the First Amendment auditors, what's the other term they use for them?
I don't know.
But some of these guys are legitimate. The First Amendment auditors that are legitimate, are basically just filming a police interaction, from a bit of a distance and not inserting themselves into the situation. And this is a very valuable thing for people to do because basically cops are going to behave better if they know they're being filmed. And if something does happen, then somebody else has the evidence, that they can submit to the court, and the cop can't, the police department can't just say, like, the body cam image was lost.
No, they just turn the body cam off so they don't have anything to begin with.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but the department always claims it was a malfunction or somehow the footage was erased or something, because they're not going to admit that the cops turned it off before they started beating the guy.
Well, there was this civil rights attorney guy has mentioned many cases where the cops turned off their body cam, and the only reason we know is because the person was filming with their phone.
Yep. Yeah, and that's what I mean. And the First Amendment auditors who don't get involved in the situation but film it, they actually are doing something useful and helpful to society at large, with helping kind of keep the police under control or being able to submit evidence if a court case happens.
Well, it's a real shame that we live in a society where we have to be that worried about the cops.
Well, it's always that question of who watches the watchers.
Apparently only us.
Yeah.
And this guy does recommend anytime you're going to have an interaction with cops that you film it.
Yep.
They showed this one that was really upsetting to me. This guy and his wife, again, they were a retired couple, but they're still bikers, and they were driving their Harleys or whatever, and they had stopped at this little mall thing and had to get some lunch at a place or something like that. And when they came out, there was a guy across the street who was on a motorcycle, and his motorcycle had gone down. It looked like it probably was gravel, but who knows, because it wasn't raining. Mm-hmm. It was a low side bike dump, and there were two other bikers there who were helping him, get up and brush off and get the bike up and stuff. And then he proceeded on his way and things. And the cops showed up as everything was breaking up. And one of them comes over to this guy and his wife in the parking lot and says, "Tell me what you saw about that." And he says, "Well, I didn't see anything. I saw them helping him up, but I didn't see it happen." And the cop decided not to believe him and started grilling the shit out of him, and ended up roughing him up and arresting him. And he spent a weekend in jail because he didn't know anything.
Yeah.
And they also sued, of course. That is incredibly egregious.
Yeah, well, I do agree that our whole police system really needs to be rebuilt from the bottom up, because these kind of incidents are way too common.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you've been able to make a YouTube business out of it, got to be a lot of source material.
Well, and like they only televise in the news generally when it's a cop killing a black person. But on average in the U.S., police kill about 1,000 white men a year. And I think if that was better publicized, we would have had a lot more people get behind the defund the police movement. But I think the white people figure they're all safe, that if their skin's light enough, they don't think it'll happen to them.
There certainly are both many races shown in these vids, but all the ones I just described to you were white guys. I think the black guys they just kill. They don't beat up. They just kill.
Yeah.
Like that woman in her own kitchen.
Okay, so this is broken down by races.
Yep. So we have the blue here is the white people.
Yep.
So in 2023, actually the most of them were white. 425.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
Yeah, so by the number, most years it looks like it was more white people than anyone else.
Now, what is this? What is this showing? A graph of what?
Number of
people shot to death.
Yep.
By the police in the United States from 2017 to 2024.
Well, then again, if this is only people who were shot, it is leaving out the people who were beat to death.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how much that would change the ratios, but
and I imagine the unknown part might change some ratios too if we knew the race and all that too.
Yeah.
Oh, there was this other one that really upset me too. Some kid under 18 was fleeing the police. I don't recall why. If I recall at the time, it sounded like it was likely that he really did commit the crime that he was accused of. It certainly felt that way and looked that way. But the cop, when the kid was being chased, the kid was on foot in a small shopping center thing or a big parking lot of some sort with buildings nearby. And the kid takes off and is going for wherever he can to get away and hide and whatever. And the cop runs him over with his squad car. And of course, the kid dies, and it made the news. And I believe the cop ultimately get fired and charged with stuff. In fact, all these that I had mentioned, the cop either got fired or suspended, but faced charges and things, or at least a lawsuit.
Yeah, and that's the thing, that the cops will often get suspended, usually put on paid leave, but the chance of any, actual real disciplinary actions are pretty rare. That even if it's proven that they killed somebody while they were on duty, it's very rare for them to get fired.
This apparently happened in Florida.
Oh, the one I just described?
Yeah, that was the first thing I came up with. The little video. Fort Pierce police officer who hits child with patrol vehicle, then lies. So, what I came up with here.
Yeah, I don't recall knowing a location when I saw it.
But there may be others that you might be talking about too, because it doesn't look like it's the only one.
That's encouraging, eh?
Police officers are the number 2 offender for SA after clergy. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that they're...
Amber, if you look at whoismakingnews.com, clergy is not the number 1 offender. Family and friends are. Clergy is actually down a few steps in the totals, at least on their accumulation of data.
Acquaintances.
Yeah, I think you're right. It usually is somebody who's known by the family, if not a family member.
But yeah, cops are right up there for SA. They're one of the big ones.
They're definitely up there in the top 5, clergy and cops.
And where are drag queens and trans people?
All the way down on the bottom.
Geez, yeah. Let's see, the trans 3 and drag queens 0. Well, okay, that explains why we should be scared of them.
Yeah, just before just before we got on the show, I was watching a clip from The Friendly Atheist about a teacher who is, I think it was in Wisconsin, but the teacher is suing the school for him being fired because in spite of it being district policy that was written in the guidelines and all this, he was refusing to address, he had 2 trans students and was refusing to address them by their pronouns and their chosen names.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that happened up in Eau Claire, Wisconsin area, one of the suburbs.
Yeah, so, and it wasn't a sudden thing. It's like he had worked with the district for 2 years, and there were a number of letters going back and forth, and they tried to compromise with him. Because he kept just saying that it was his Christian belief that he couldn't do that sort of thing. And now he's filing a lawsuit for being fired, but actually he wasn't even fired. It was just when his contract came up for renewal for the 3rd year, they just decided not to renew his contract because he was not following district policies.
That sounds fair.
That's actually quite interesting. You'd be using his religion and to justify it, considering I've heard of other people using their religion and justify why to refer to somebody trans by how they want to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to cause that harm to that person, that distress.
Something that I like to bring up to the haters when they talk about trans people in biblical times and stuff like that is these are people who don't read history. They don't necessarily read the Bible. They don't necessarily, though they genuinely don't know anything about biology beyond 3rd or 5th grade.
Mm-hmm.
But you explain to them that, call them trans people, drag queens, gay, whatever you want to say it. We go back like 6,000 years in history.
Yep.
In recorded written history, there was no written before that, but there's oral traditions that give these researchers enough cause to believe that we go all the way back in human history. And so that's in like 12,000, 20,000, 50,000 years ago.
Yep.
I'd imagine it goes back as far as when we were able to identify ourselves and say as in like in the mirror or something.
Yeah, virtually every society that has written records, has some mention of trans people thousands of years back.
Yeah, Ember, exactly. It's just, it makes me so mad when these people, I don't believe in pronouns. Well, let's see, there was one in that sentence.
Oh, so you use pronouns for yourself, but not for anyone else, huh?
And they get all pissed at that because they have no idea what a pronoun is.
Yeah.
Even though they have used them since the day they learned to talk.
Again, it's, they're ill-informed, they're poorly educated.
I don't let them have that excuse anymore because there's enough exposure out there that even if you listen to the bullshit from amateurs, that's close enough to researchers. There's plenty of information just laying around on the street to know that stuff's not true. And they choose not to. And so I'm absolutely convinced that all of them are not education issues, but they're just plain hate-filled people. And they don't deserve any courtesy or break.
I'll go with they're bigoted and hateful. I tend not to say anybody is stupid unless they've, done something that they knew beforehand was a bad idea.
No, I'm not so sure. Or, I mean, yeah, that definitely is the case in many respects. But I do think even with readily available information, you can still be completely ignorant.
Yeah, and those are the people who can come up and say, "Well, I don't believe in that." Well, it's not a question of belief; it's a fact. Well, yeah, but I just don't believe that. Well, then
Yeah,
you're stupid. Here's 20 pounds worth of research papers that say you're wrong, and you still say no. That's stupid.
well, that's a matter of dislodging the bad information they got in their head in the first place, which can be much harder to do.
Yeah, what's Troy Black, the YouTube prophet, spoke to God again. God told him a moth will be president.
Hmm.
Is
Oh,
this
well,
some Mothman prophecy thing?
I'd vote for a Cecropia or a Luna.
Well, the Mothman can predict the future, so I guess that'd be a useful thing to have as a president.
I just think it's going to be really hard to find
Yeah.
a moth that's over 35 years old.
Mothman.
Oh
He's over
well,
Well,
35.
okay, you got me there.
okay, there is a loophole to that. You have to be over 35 to run for president, not to serve as president. So if the president appointed somebody who was like 25 as their VP and they stepped down, the underage VP could still finish the term in office.
I don't think that's correct. I don't think they would allow a selection who doesn't meet the criteria.
Well, I think it is on the same line that it doesn't specify that a felon can't be president. I think it's just something that never occurred to them would happen, so I don't think they ever wrote it in anywhere.
Nope, you have to be eligible for vice president. You have to be 35 as well.
Oh, do you? Okay. So they
I
have to
want
go
to know.
further down the chain.
I want to know where JD Vance gets off saying that the only valid marriage is one between a heterosexual man and woman, with the man in charge and the woman staying home.
Yeah.
It's the only valid, and that women like Kamala has two adopted children. Well, that's not a valid family.
Yeah. And you heard the thing about JD Vance and the bear. Did you hear the one about the whale?
Mm-mm.
This was in an interview with his daughter. Yeah, that was some years ago.
You mean RFK?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, yeah, that I've heard.
I'm sorry.
I think it's
I'm getting
wonderful
people
that
confused.
I think it's wonderful that Trump took him on. That is just going to bring a whole new level of Ripley's Believe It or Not into this. Oh my God.
Yeah, well, more and more Republicans are defecting, and there is some group that is putting something like $11 million into a TV ad campaign. That it's all people who voted for Trump in the last election who say that they can't vote for him again.
Oh, I've seen ads like that on TV already.
Yeah, but I mean, but they're being put on by Republicans. It's a Republican group that is paying for them.
Yeah. Apparently,
So yeah, there's a significant number of Republicans who have some money who realize that Trump getting elected would be bad for them.
Republicans against Trump.
Yep.
And apparently, Trump recently pissed off the evangelical little group with his abortion stance, flip flop.
Oh yeah, that's fun. The man is really getting desperate. He is just flip flopping and
Wait a
saying
minute.
stupid things like
He
never
flip
before.
flopped on abortion?
Yeah, for a little while.
Yeah, he's talking
Okay.
about the 6-week ban in Florida here. That's be up on the ballots for anyone else in Florida. He says that's just too strict, and that pissed off the Yale evangelical group.
Mm.
But it doesn't matter what he says. None of it will come to be. He will not support abortion. He won't. He's just lying. It's just another Trump lie.
Well, he certainly won't support abortion if he gets one of his mistresses pregnant. Yeah, the Lincoln Project is more Republicans against abortion.
I want to know why nobody has made issue of the fact that J.D. Vance has changed his name 4 or 5 times. Isn't it like kind of suspicious about what is the nature of what's going on in his head? Well, I think it is. That's
Yeah,
just too strange.
No, I can see what you mean. That yeah, you wonder what the reason was for him doing it that many times.
The only thing he's done that I agree with is growing that beard. He really needed it.
Yeah, Vance has been doing his share in helping the Trump campaign implode.
Mm-hmm.
Because every time he goes to speak, people think he is even worse than we thought he was.
Amber, I believe it was a high school yearbook is circulating. I think it was James Hartwell
David.
or James. No,
David Vance.
No. I don't recall seeing the James part. Just or David. I'm sorry.
James Donald Bowman. James David Hamill. This one I'm just pulling up on Wikipedia here.
So he's kept the JD initials and keeps changing the last name.
Well, he's changed the format of the first names too. Like at one point it was J period D period, and then it became just JD.
Yeah.
Born James Donald Bowman.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what that was about. I saw something making a reference to Bowman, and I didn't understand what it was about.
The hell? After Bowman was adopted by his mother's third husband, Bob Hamill, his mother changed his name to James David Hamill to remove his father's name while using an uncle's name to reserve his nickname JD.
Okay, well, that's legit, and that sounds like he didn't even do it. His mother did.
But then he changed his name to the last name to Vance at some point, and then
yeah,
dropped the whole James David thing and just went to JD.
I wonder if he had a little fantasy going at some point of being the reincarnation of Vivian Vance, who was Lucy's buddy on I Love Lucy.
Yep. Well, I've actually had my name changed twice. The first time was to a way of adopting one of my daughters. And the last time was for the gender change. So, I can understand how life events, some people might change their name more than once.
Actually, Amber, I lied to you. His biological name was Slug. I'm glad I entertained myself.
Slug?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's really one of my sisters is making a big deal about me changing my last name, and it's like, I didn't even have the family last name for the last 30 years. Why is it a big deal now?
Grabbing at straws, is she?
Well, yeah, she's the one who keeps telling me make sure I don't do anything that's permanent, just in case I change my mind later.
Mark's got a question for you.
How are you doing with getting your gender changed on your ID? Actually, it wasn't a problem. I had to have a hearing before a judge to get the legal paperwork. But once I had that, I just went to the Social Security office. They changed the name and gender marker with no problem. And in Minnesota, actually, on the driver's license, you don't even need any paperwork for that. You can choose what you want your gender marker to be.
Hmm.
And you actually have three choices. It can be M, F, or X.
Wait a minute. They didn't require you to produce a birth certificate to get your driving license?
I had to show a birth certificate and I had to show the court paper of the name change,
Oh, okay.
to prove I got the name changed. But yeah, then the clerk just asked me what I wanted for the gender marker.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, okay. This is where he gets it from. So him and his sister Lindsay were raised primarily by his maternal grandparents, James and Bonnie Vance. So that's where he gets the Vance from.
Okay, well, that sounds a
Okay,
little
so
less
basically
creepy.
he got changed twice because he was adopted twice.
So does that mean he's illegitimate by his own standards?
I don't know. Was he adopted by his mother?
He's considering adoption to be illegitimate family. So
Yeah, well, he considers anything that is not the biological mother and father taking care of the child, he considers illegitimate.
and here his own history would seem to put him in that very situation.
Gee, a Republican projecting their own problems on the rest of the world. What a surprise.
Well, it only matters when it's them. Every accusation is a confession.
Yep. Well, like I was saying about the 2025 document, it's like they want to load the federal government with Trump loyalists, but their specifications for who can serve pretty much rules out most of them.
That's the part
Okay.
about 2025 that's most disturbing, is that there's the intent to take approximately 15, 20,000
Yeah.
civil service workers and reclassify them as political appointees, which means that they can be hired and fired anytime for any reason by the executive branch.
Yeah.
And that they
And
will intend to do that and then hire their own sycophants,
yep.
who are grilled and made to pledge
Yeah, which is a quick
allegiance.
way to change the FBI into the SS.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Doornump says illegitimate, a definition not authorized by the law, not in accordance with accepted standards or rules. So by that definition, adopted children are fully legitimate.
Well, if not in accordance with accepted standards or rules, that means Trump's illegitimate. Doorknob, I love you.
Oh. I'm just tired. I had to be up too early the last couple of days in a row.
I don't know. I'm thinking they should probably pursue that possible violation of the Logan Act with Trump. That would get him on treason.
Mm-hmm.
On which violation is that? What's the Logan Act?
Yeah.
Logan Act is that an average citizen cannot go and make deals privately with other governments.
Ah.
I think roughly that's correct. Mage, do you know?
Yeah, something along those lines.
Or you, let's see, or you can't be Running Man or something like that. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, and I can't believe that they ruled in favor of his immunity, which threw out the thing about him stealing the classified documents. However, the Justice Department has refiled an amended form of those charges. That basically they took out the things that the Supreme Court specifically ruled on, but it still left a lot of charges.
Any citizen of the United States, whereas he may be who, without authority of the United States, directly or indirectly, he commences or carries on any correspondence or intercourse with any foreign government or any officer or agent thereof in relation to any dispute or controversies is with the United States or to defeat the measures of the United States shall be fined under the title or in prison in no more than 3 years or both. The section shall not be abridged right aid of a citizen is applied aid here himself for his agent into any foreign government or the agent thereof for redressing of any injury with which he may have sustained from such government or any of its agents or subjects. And what was it? Trump had went and tried to privately speak with Netanyahu.
Mm-hmm.
So that may have been a violation of the Logan Act there.
Yeah, I think that would qualify quite completely. He did something else that I thought would qualify as that. In this campaign season, or campaign 2 years or whatever. I just can't. I'm just not remembering it. I have to go pee. I'll be right back.
Yeah, well, Trump's supposed to be sentenced for those 34 felony counts sometime later this month. So,
well, getting him on treason would be even worse, though.
Oh yeah. No, I was just wondering what the I don't even know, what the potential sentences for the felony counts are.
I don't know either. The whole thing's insane.
I know there is a potential for him serving some prison time for them. I don't know how much.
But
Huh? I'm sorry, I'm in another window, so I'm missing what you're...
Violation of the Logan Act into Logan's Run, weirdo.
Oh, okay.
Doorknob head.
Okay, now that would be one interesting thing that I was just checking there that hello, Porpoise.
Yeah, I suppose they could do a remake of that. I could probably use a remake. I could see that.
Logan's Run, I think, I think it's one that, yeah, it would be good if they, remade it now with better special effects and that. I don't think they could screw that one up too badly.
Oh, I'm sure they could.
Well, yeah. It depends what director they got, who the director and scriptwriters were. But yeah, what I was just looking up was that state of New York does have a law that a convicted felon cannot run for public office. So I wonder if that means that in the state of New York, if he's convicted of these felonies, does that keep his name off the ballot?
Don't
No,
know.
it does not.
Oh.
He can vote in Florida, which is why Mar-a-Lago is his home address.
Well, even if it did, it really wouldn't matter. I mean, it's not going to win in New York anyway.
Yeah, but he can vote in Florida. I thought convicted felons couldn't vote.
No, I believe Florida's a.
Nope, we changed that.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
you did.
But you have to serve out your time.
Oh,
So he wouldn't be able to vote in this election.
Yeah.
I just want on the 18th for the judge, and I think there's a pretty good chance of it, considering how much Donnie Boy has pissed him off and just made a spectacle of this guy. And they're attacking his daughter now too. The Congress is going to call her as a witness and trumped up charges and things.
Yeah, well,
that he can get 4 years per conviction, so he can get 34 times 4 if it was to be administered consecutively.
That would be 136 years, I think.
Yup.
Yeah, we won't sentence you to life in prison. We'll only sentence you to 136 years. Yeah, I think if, the only thing that would make me think that millionaires don't escape justice in this country at this point would be if Trump spent the rest of his life in prison.
There is talk going around that I've read about in the last few days. It's all rumor based right now, I believe, that are saying that the military is going to be deployed surrounding the courthouse on the 18th because they fear of civil unrest to occur.
Oh yeah,
because the judge will take him from the sentencing directly to jail.
well, and some of Trump's fanatics have already been making threats to basically everyone involved in the trial, from the judge on down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mark, there has been some talk about that apparently it's entirely possible that he, could win the election while he's in prison. And there's...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go.
No, I was just going to say that, there isn't anything written that would prevent him from taking, coming into office while he's in prison.
I have heard enough pundits and people supposedly in the know at this point to believe, or I want to believe, that on November 5th it's going to be a blowout of massive proportions like no one has ever seen.
It's possible.
Which is always exactly what should happen to Donnie. The greatest loss ever. He has the best losses. He uses the best words and.
Well, I would love to see the massive blowout in regard to the Democrats taking enough seats to have a majority in both houses of Congress.
It's very typical to be up and down ballot voting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is how we're currently sitting in here. I'm kind of wondering what the hell happened in Arizona, though, because she was up almost over 2 points at one point, and she lost that lead, and I don't know what the hell happened.
Well, 2 points was still within the margin of error, so...
Yeah, also lost the lead that she had in Michigan for some reason.
Really?
It was over.
That surprises me.
It was over 3 points at one point, and now it's
Yeah.
1.9. So I'm not sure what the hell happened. It would raise things up a little bit. But another, like I said, one thing to keep in mind with with these polls is we're getting a lot of new voters registering, and they're not going to be accounted for in these polls.
Yeah. And I do think that's really what's going to carry it.
Amber,
it's going to be the people who have never bothered to vote before.
Amber, that's really mean. Talk about the worst choice for a candidate ever, hey?
Yeah, I really don't like the insult being weirdo because it's like me and all of my close friends are weirdos. So
Yeah.
I don't like that term being
Well,
downgraded like that.
that's what makes it so good, though, is that it is such a common word that we typically use as jesting between friends and that sort of thing, with no true serious intent of it. And the mega has just taken.
Uh-oh.
We lost you, Jenny. We didn't get the end of your sentence.
Jenny.
Her connection must be interrupted.
Yeah.
Or if she had a call coming in.
Mm. Well, I guess we'll have to
Yeah,
wait and...
I am a weirdo. I have trouble dealing with anyone who identifies as normal. Yep. I had my first mammogram a couple of months ago.
Good medical advice there.
Yeah, they're not fun. They're not fun. They are mild to moderately painful.
I'm back on what
Okay.
doorknob? What do you want to hear my take on?
You got cut off in mid sentence, so we didn't hear the end of your sentence there.
Oh, um, doorknob. I was wondering what you wanted me to hear my take on.
You're talking about how weird is so perfect to use.
Yeah, that we use it jesting with friends and how the MAGA
Oh,
have
oh,
taken it.
okay. I think it's great for it because it is such a casual word that we all use, right or left. It doesn't matter, and it's just something that you use between friends. Oh, you're so weird, or I'm weird, and it's casual. It's not
Hmm.
not intense. It's a joke. But Mega is just absolutely incensed about it, like it's some horrible, vile word, that we've cast them in this terrible light that's going to defame them forever. No, it's weird. It's just weird. Will you guys grow
Yep.
up? Oh man.
Okay, I think Porpoise sums it up well. Leftists embrace the weird. The right thinks they're normal.
Oh yes, excellent. Highly correct.
Yep.
Well, I guess that would follow in their whole argument against it's not wanting to use cis. I'm not cis. I'm normal.
Yeah.
Same as the argument they use about straight. I'm not straight. I'm normal.
Yes, that's what it means.
Yeah.
Well, then just call me normal. No, because sometimes you have to describe people in a conversation and you have to know which one is which, and this
Yeah.
word helps that.
Yeah,
And
we
if you
use
can't
a
handle it, that's too
descriptive to
bad.
make the context clear.
Yeah, I will not respect anybody who says they don't you can't use that on me. Yes, I can, and I will.
I suspect they don't understand the definition of it either.
even
No.
when you give them a very specific definition and example, they still don't like it. They're just hooked up being told that it was awful, so it's awful.
Well, not so much being told that's awful, even as I think it's just like, I don't know that word, so it must be an insult.
No, it doesn't imply not being normal, sinister. It defines that there are two things to think about, or ways to think about gender. Is that one way is that a person is across or different between gender and sex, and the other one is that you're the same
No, I
between
think
gender and sex.
I think she's talking about how using normal instead of cis implies trans is not normal.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I get that, but it's not. That's not what it is. It's not commenting on normality. It's commenting on a situation.
yeah,
That
saying somebody is normal could mean a whole mess of things. You don't know what the person's referring to. Saying they're cis, is telling you right away that, this is regarding to how they identify versus what they were identified as at birth.
if you've ever gotten in a discussion online with a number of people and they're talking about trans or not trans, I'll use that temporarily. You find that there is a need to define if you're talking about a trans woman or a trans man or a not trans man or trans woman. And that's a clumsy way to put it. And so cis is the word that's used, and it comes from the Latin. It was used thousands of years ago, which means the same as, and trans mean different than.
Yep.
The public usually thinks that transgender means that you're changing sex. It does not. No, I understand what I understand what you're saying, but that they're finding it offensive because Elon Musk told them it was offensive. Okay, before
Yeah.
that fucker opened his mouth, people didn't feel that way or didn't express feeling that way.
Oh, they did express it, but in smaller numbers.
Yeah, I think Jenny's right though that, it only really got to the general group because Elon Musk said it, and he's up there as being one of their idols. I'd be right back.
They go so stupid. Oh, we want Elon Musk to run for president. Well, why don't you go read that Constitution, please, please?
Yeah, you kind of can't.
And they went through the same thing with Arnold Schwarzenegger years ago.
Well, you do what they did in Demolition Man, make an amendment to the Constitution so he could run.
Well, that's very doable. Yes.
Yeah, that was actually in the movie Demolition Man, where Arnold Schwarzenegger became president, and they allowed it through constitutional amendment.
Exactly, Amber. If I get involved with the person that says that, I say, okay, well then you're either cis or you're trans. You take your choice.
And the funny thing is that movie came up before Arnold Schwarzenegger got into doing politics.
I don't get it. I didn't see the movie.
Oh, it's a cop played by Sylvester Stallone gets accused of a crime he didn't commit, and he's frozen for decades, and wakes up in this in the futuristic world. And he has to stop the bad guy who got him framed in the first place.
Okay. I still don't get it. I'm sorry.
And it had some kind of prophetic stuff in there.
Oh, it was a Simpsons movie.
I guess in a way it did kind of do a Simpsons on there.
Well, the only thing that I remember as being prophetic from that movie was the seashells. That's why we all have 3 seashells in the bathroom now.
Yeah, you don't know how to use the 3 seashells? What's
No,
wrong with you?
I've never heard of that.
I don't know about the 3 seashells, boy.
I've heard of 2 girls, 1 cup, but
What are we gonna do with you, Jenny? You don't know about the 3 seashells.
no, I don't. Perp, I gotta send you a picture.
There is a cat on my back. You know that seems to be a common condition in this community.
Yeah. Well, since you never saw the movie, the 3 seashells replaced toilet paper, and didn't know how to use the 3 seashells, and you're laughing at him for not knowing how to use the 3 seashells.
Yeah, nowhere in the movie did it ever explain how to use the 3 seashells, so that's just been a running meme.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to.
Okay, I'll send it to MidAmerica, and it's coming in just a second here. It's a wonderful piece of artwork. I think the world should see. Dum, 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 dum. I have it in here somewhere. There we are. It's made by the famous AI artist Mage the Wolf, and it's
Oh.
all about J.D. Vance.
Well, you talked Mage into putting that one up. I'm not dealing with that one.
Oh, God.
Put it up.
Mage can put it up if he wants to. I'm not dealing with that one.
Mage created the image. I created the wording.
Yeah, I made that with an AI generator. I just put in 2 dolphins, 1 couch.
See, now that's the proper use of AI.
Yep.
It's just so perfect.
Well, actually, I may have put 2 dolphins sitting on a couch. I can't remember quite exactly. But anyway, that's what it generated. And then Jenny added the text.
Well, it's a perfectly legitimate picture. There's absolutely nothing fishy about that.
I think it's laid out well text-wise. The coloring of the text is the color of the dolphins.
Yep.
It's perfect. It's just a perfect image. Congratulations, Mage. And I did put it out on Twitter.
That was my first try too. I was expecting to have to run it a few times before I got a good one.
Well, you should try some other things that are weird that way.
Yeah. I've tried playing around with AI, and it usually takes me a while to get anything that I'm willing to use. I have to figure out how to word it.
How about if you did a cross section of a couch with JD doing his thing, and Donald Trump's on the other side of the cushion skins?
I have found that it's harder to get the AI to generate sexual acts.
Hmm.
It took me a while just to get my wolf to have blue eyes.
Oh yeah, I never noticed that.
Yeah, it's
Oh, I saw this thing on TikTok of a husky that is, instead of black and white, gray, their pattern, it's brown and darker brown, and with bright blue eyes. It was like an amazing looking animal.
Yeah, I've never seen one like that. Bag. Deer. There, see, I got us back to the original topic. Although we can claim that we've been on topic for this entire session because we've had a wolf on the screen the whole time.
Yeah, there you go.
And we've been talking about Mega, and they're pretty much just animals. Not very tasteful animals, but...
Yeah, I keep going back to Idiocracy, and when my late fiance showed me that movie, and it's like, yeah, it seemed so ridiculous, but it's like, yeah, we were pretty much there.
You never seen Idiocracy either?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you got
No, I told you guys I have not seen movies for the last 45 years because I cannot go to a movie theater alone.
Well, it's well, you set that Discord up for doing some movies if you can join it.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was invited. I thought I
Of course,
was
you're invited.
I thought I was a terrible person and shouldn't be allowed to be on it.
I didn't
No,
say you were a terrible person. I said you were an instigator.
I just have a couple of rules. No politics or religion. Those are divisive topics, and I've got people of all stripes. No racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia. I specifically give some examples: deliberate misgendering or dead naming, threats or personal attacks. Let's be respectful to everybody. I'm thinking about maybe adding a few more examples of transphobia for the people who might not understand. Like
just define transphobia to mean the correct phobia definition of either afraid of or intolerant of.
that might be. I was also thinking maybe adding like a trying to use the whole attack helicopter crap.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to be female for the next 30 minutes crap. I've seen that one.
Yeah, that's very common. Well, it's to stop a guy from putting on a dress and attacking women in the restroom. Well, that could have been happening for the last 100 years. What's your problem?
Yeah. What's to stop a guy from grabbing a mop and acting like he works there and walking into the restroom?
Yeah, like those things. I don't want any of that kind of stuff on there. But if they can follow, people can follow the rules. Hey, well, let's have a good time. I don't think I'm asking much there. I might need to add some more later on, depending on how things go.
Mage apparently Doorknob thinks you have a kink.
I have a kink. What kind of kink?
Well, just read.
I'm sure I do. I'm sure I do, but
giving examples, man, that's a lot of examples. It might be Mage's kink.
Mage has an example kink?
Oh. Can you give me some examples of those? Let me get some lube.
Oh, you mean it immediately throws them out, Ember?
I think it's one that it's just something that will automatically block somebody in the chat.
By the way, I want to give a plug to Ember's YouTube transpositions. Ember is covering. I haven't heard every show, okay, but from the ones I've heard, Ember is attacking the subject with a very different fervency and depth that we shoot the shit about here. And it gets fairly intellectual at times, and it's very advanced. It has to do with history. It has to do with current. It is not two-dimensional like we are, like I am.
Yep.
And I strongly recommend everybody give it a listen here and there if it interests you on any level.
Yeah, I don't have a moderator bot set up yet on there. I'm a little hesitant to use. I prefer if it was real people doing the modding.
Yeah.
But...
Well, yeah, and when we're when we only have 10 to 20 people in the chat, it's not that hard for human moderators to keep up.
Yeah,
I can see if we had 100 people in the chat, that might be a bit much for them to keep up.
Yeah, if this thing manages to grow that big, then maybe I might have to put in something. But
yeah,
right now I only have a little over about 15 people almost joined up already. So that's not bad for just starting it yesterday.
Ember, you can send the $50 for the plug on your show to my Ko-fi account.
Though I do find some of the features on Discord to be about as confusing as trying to program the clock on a VCR.
Yeah, you've been going through a lot of crap with that.
And the help menu for Discord tends to be outdated.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Well, I have always found Discord frustrating. I only use the most basic functions in it.
Yeah, I'm sure given enough time, I'll figure it out more. Because actually, when I was first setting up these rules, I was actually wanted to set it up where it would have it where you have to agree to the rules before it lets you in. But I can't seem to find that feature anymore. And where the feature was doesn't seem to be there anymore.
Can't you set it
Okay.
up on rolls or something that way?
Apparently, all I could do was create a section 4 rules and pin it. And then apparently, I had also had to change some of the settings so people would stop posting in there. And apparently, when you pin in something, it doesn't necessarily just keep it stuck to the top. It will still scroll up so you can't see it.
Yeah. That doesn't seem very useful.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
sorry.
well, there's this thing in the top here where it says pinned messages where you can click on and see the message, but still, it's hidden otherwise.
Yep.
Oh, darn up. I agree with you. I used to have a game back in the black and white Macintosh days. I think it was just called Apache. I don't remember. But you were flying on an Apache helicopter and all the weaponry, and it's like, holy fuck. Of course, the game cheats because you had unlimited armaments and things like that. But
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was the world was in a downtown area of some city, and flying between the buildings and all that good shit.
Yeah. My late fiance had worked for a firm that did electronics assemblies and kind of accidentally found out that some of the components they were making were the control boards for the Apache helicopters.
Shh.
Look, unless you look like this, you can't identify as an attack helicopter.
Yep.
Oh my god, that's my hips.
Well, maybe that should be our response. That if somebody says they're an attack helicopter, ask where the rotor blades are.
Could you send a copy of that to me, please? That I really like that picture. That is a good spit in the face to the idiots who use that term.
Okay. Now, there's some kind of theories that there's pictures like that of anime girls that have like parts of ships sticking off them that apparently they can
Yes.
transform into these ships.
Yes, that's actually that's an anime.
Yeah.
I see.
I just don't know what the title of the series is, so I didn't know how to look it up.
I don't know the title either off the top of my head.
Yeah, just I've seen a couple of the the pictures of a couple of the girls, and then just kind of wondered what that's all about.
I've seen the pictures of Miku doing nasty sex things.
Well, yeah, those are easy to find. Ethan, why don't you come to the other side?
And if, out in the chat, if you don't know who Miku is, Miku, it's an anime character. I don't know where it came from, where it started, but it just fits all the classic Japanese anime ideas of these very attractive young girlish kind of bodies and stuff, with a skirt no longer than their butt, and hair as long as a football field, and it's
she's a
usually blue
Vocaloid.
or pink.
Yeah,
She's what?
Yeah, she's a Vocaloid.
Okay, I'm
What's
not
that?
aware of that. And anyway, so she's apparently a real big idol of Japanese men who seem to do things in private to themselves, and
Yeah.
while looking at Miku, and you can buy dolls of her to paint or dolls that are already painted, and she's in different positions. It's just,
As I understand it, the term for those is a waifu.
okay.
Is like an anime girl that's very busty and like your imaginary girlfriend.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
I'm picking some of the stuff up from watching Cirrus. That's all.
There's
Yeah,
Miko.
I don't know much about. Yep, that's Miku. Gee, I guess I described her fairly well, didn't I?
Yep.
Skirt just past her butt, and
You also, if you look at these anime girls, usually their legs are longer than their entire body.
well, so are most humans.
Really, I didn't think real people were proportioned quite like that, but
No, not that dramatic, but people's legs are bigger than their body.
okay.
Your femur can tolerate over 2.5 times your weight.
Well, I should hope so, since I've at times had to carry my own weight.
Vocaloid. Vocaloid.
Okay.
And that
I
is,
take-
again,
Yeah, I take it this is some kind of sonic weapon they have or something.
They're synthetic singers.
Oh,
oh,
hey,
Singing
Sammy.
synthesizer application software, but it got applied to these anime girls that were generated with did the singing.
somebody should do an anime-based Mindscape or whatever. What is that?
Which one?
I don't know. Everybody seems to play it.
Minecraft?
Oh, Minecraft.
Minecraft, yes, Minecraft. Huh?
Sorry, I was talking to Sammy.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm going huh about.
Threats kicking in there.
Explain your relationship here.
That's just, it's the language that evolved from my vocal tics.
Okay.
Most of the time, I don't know what it means either, but we've been able to identify a few random words, but it's not like we have a Rosetta Stone, so nobody really understands the language. I speak it fluently, doesn't mean I comprehend it.
That's like when Diana used to say stuff in what sounded like maybe Italian, maybe Spanish, maybe Russian, and she claimed to not even know what she was saying.
Yeah, she said she spoke fluent stupid.
Yeah, I don't believe that. I think she actually knew those languages.
Well, she did know some Russian. She knew some Russian just because that's what she grew up with. Just like I know some words in Polish. I don't know exactly what they mean, but I understand that they're all exclamatives that my father thought children shouldn't hear. Because that's the only time he spoke Polish was when he was swearing.
Mm.
Somehow he thought we wouldn't catch on, but I mean, when you live with it for 15, 16 years, you tend to pick up a pattern.
Yeah, and all you have to do is turn on Google Translate, and you get a translation in real time.
Yeah, if only I had that available when I was a kid. Give my dad a smack for swearing at us.
I made a mistake on my profile page on Twitter. I did the normal kind of stuff that you put on that sort of page, and then after that was all done, I wrote this sentence that basically said the Republicans are screwing up the country and going to destroy it, or they're all full of shit, or something crude and nasty. And I didn't want to get busted by Twitter for it, so I wrote it in German by way of Google Translate. And I get so many people in German who will see that and have assumed that I know German, and so I get these notes that are all German, and
If you're the whole post in German. So Doorknob Head, it would make a good ringtone, but not a good name for a band. I have to find a home for Ethan, though. The cats are stressing each other out.
Yeah.
Petunia is actively bullying Ethan now to the point where when I put the treats down in front of him, he got scared.
Yeah, definitely time to find him a new home.
Yeah. So if anybody could help, if anybody knows anybody, I'm willing to take him any place that I can drive within a day. So about, 350 or 400-mile radius from here. Sammy and Petunia, at least, they knew each other in Michigan. So they've known each other for a number of years and they can kind of deal with each other. At least for the most part, they'll get to a point of trying to ignore each other.
Will you say that Ethan is really well behaved?
Yes.
Cats that are well behaved get adopted at the shelters.
Yeah, well, but unfortunately, most people go to the shelters looking for kittens, so adult cats don't have as large a chance of being adopted. So.
And a lot of us would rather get an adult dog or cat because they're a known quantity.
Yep.
And a lot less trouble than a kitten or a puppy.
Oh yeah, I would. I wouldn't have brought a kitten in here. One, that would be too much trouble, and two, I don't think that Sammy would, really deal as well with a kitten.
Another thing that I was just thinking, if you can find somebody outside your range, maybe we can find some kind of pet transport system or some other service that would do the transporting for you.
Well, they're available. It's a matter of how much that would cost.
A lot of them do it gratis.
Okay.
Just kind of a thought to expand the range some.
Just and giving folks an idea of that kind of stuff. There's this group of pilots that got together when Florida started passing its draconian anti-trans laws, and established themselves as their whole purpose is to take trans people to whatever location they need to get their care for no charge. And they have recently expanded that to include women who have DNC or abortion needs.
I hadn't heard about the pilots. That's nice.
Yeah, it's a really cool thing.
Yeah.
Running a play is expensive, and they do it for free.
Yeah. I know what you mean, Doorknob Head. I had thought of volunteering at the shelter, but I couldn't do it, and just keep leaving the animals there every day. I'd want to take them all home.
I've considered it. I'm not sure how I do even with volunteering.
Yeah. Well, Sammy and Ethan, I got both of them because I went to the shelter, and my first question was, who's been stuck here the longest? So just...
And then you find out it's a pit bull that is all scarred up because it fights.
It's usually a very elderly animal.
Yeah,
yeah.
And black.
Yeah, well, Sammy was they figured he was 6 years old when I picked him up. And a lot of people still have the idea that cats won't live more than 10 years.
Molly got a bit lucky. It was only her first day when I found her.
Yep.
Molly? Oh, that's good.
Though she had a very traumatic first day.
Really?
Yes, when I first went in there to see her, the the fire alarm went off. So she was terrified by that. By the time they shut it off and I got in there.
Oh, she's such a sweet dog. Why would somebody give up a dog that nice?
What they told me was the place where she was lived. They had too many animals, and she also had a herniated intestine, which I imagine probably played into a reason why they got rid of her too.
Yeah, they were thinking they couldn't handle the vet bill. I can understand.
Yeah, so they had two reasons. They had probably the vet bill, and they had too many animals who were violating the lease.
Did the shelter fix that before?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. She hadn't been spayed neutered, so they went in, fixed the hernia, and did the surgery at the same time.
Okay, Ember says queertransprojects.org is one of the groups that arranges the flights.
Oh, I hadn't heard that one.
Okay, well, yeah, we should spread these around. I know that there are a number of people in our group who are stuck in Florida, and I know that in some states I already have friends who are having trouble just getting the estrogen.
If I won, the big $500 million lottery or something like that, I would just pay for every trans person I'd meet in Florida and Texas to get the hell out.
Yep.
If I have to support you for a year while you get a new career, I'll do it.
Well, that's what I keep saying. Is I just like to buy an apartment complex and bring everybody here, make it into a planned community thing.
I think they said Florida put forth a I don't know what you call them when citizens put together a petition and get a binding question put on the ballot that they want to do something about abortion rights, thereby proving that Florida is not a red state; it's a blue state, at least in terms of abortion.
There are a couple of states that have ballot referendums on abortion this year.
Florida is one of them.
Yep.
Interestingly enough, usually these kind of things tend with when they go on the ballots in Florida, they tend to lean left. It's really weird. It's really weird. It's like, oh yeah, we like Medicare for all. We like
ballot initiatives that are focused on a single subject most of the time will go left.
Yeah.
It's a matter of how they word it on the ballot, though. If people understand what voting yes or what voting no means with the convoluted language they give it.
That's how we ended up getting the whole, felons who serve their time can vote thing.
Yep.
It's like, oh yeah, we'll go with this. What do you think of Hitler? Oh yes, we support Hitler 100%. And it's really weird in Florida.
Oh, Ember are good. Actually, on Tuesday,
Aww.
I think a guy in the store might have been trying to flirt with me, but of course I didn't realize that until after I was back in my van driving away. But he came up and complimented me on what I was wearing twice.
I've had that happen. Well, more than you guys because I've been at it longer. It's I never know how to take it. It's certainly it's a compliment and all that, but I always get so uncomfortable and what do I say? Kind of feeling that I just don't know what to do, how to deal with it.
Well, it's like I managed to say thanks. That's all I could think to respond.
Yeah. And it mostly has been older ladies too. I wonder if that means something that in terms of they're blind or something.
Yeah. For me, it was an older gentleman.
Well,
You
if
know,
the guy tells you that, he's hot for you.
well, that's what I mean. I think he must have been trying to flirt with me, but that didn't occur to me at the time. In retrospect, it's like, yeah, if he came by twice. Hey, Ollie, man. But yeah, it is a big boost. You just, if a stranger gives you a compliment. I had one of the guys at my trans support group said that I was 100% passable, but you know, I had to feel that his opinion might be a little biased on the subject. Oh, get back. And now I have a kitty asleep on my leg, as Sammy's son should be. Arg. If there's anybody by Chicago who wants to take Ethan, I'll be having to drive down to the southern end of Wisconsin probably sometime in the next month here. So, I mean, Chicago would only be about an hour further.
Yeah, but is Ethan tough enough to live in Chicago?
Well, he has to be an indoor cat. I don't think he could defend himself from animals outside. So, it's got to be somebody who's going to keep him inside.
Okay, so now is a sissy cat known as a pussy, or? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Yes, I did. It was bad.
I'm actually surprised to hear you use the term sissy, but just because that has very negative connotations to most trans people.
I'm comfortable using that because so many of the cis men, I'm sure, are upset with the word because it sounds like sissy,
Yeah.
and they're too stupid to know how to spell, and so they assume that it's spelled the same way.
Well, I mean, if they've never seen it printed out, I can understand, if they're just going by the sound.
Are other people really bothered by the absolutely horrible spelling and grammar of Americans?
No, because I'm one of the people who is like that.
Hmm.
My spelling and punctuation are absolutely abysmal without spell check. You know,
It makes me crazy.
yeah. Well, I try my best, but I don't know if the autism is part of it or anything. But I just, you know, even I'll keep consistently misspelling the same words. So it's more like that when spell check corrects it, it's like I'll see it there and I can get it right for a little while, but it doesn't stick in my mind. So I'm likely to misspell it again next time I go to use the same word.
I like to test average people. I ask them to spell the word misspelling. See if they can handle that one.
Bye bye, doorknob head.
Bye bye.
Later.
Yeah, Mark says the internet is not the place you want to be if you're a grammar Nazi. Yeah.
Mage, that's three E's. You have that wrong. And two U's. You.
I thought it was supposed to be a no. I thought it was what?
What is the depressed version of what?
Oh,
My one that drives me crazy, and it's because I spent my life in the car business, is that people have no idea the difference between if something breaks or if something breaks. It's,
yeah.
no, you got to mix up those letters different. The same letters, just different order.
Yeah. Do you mean stopping or do you mean fracturing?
Well, why can't I do both?
Yeah. That I realize that's one additional problem I have now is that Sloth Girl had been proofreading my writing mostly to correct the punctuation. I tend to be horrible about run-on sentences.
Yeah, that's not terribly uncommon. Writers do it too. I've done those, but I usually change them after I proofread.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how to fix them myself. I kind of need to start over with a lot of that stuff and get, like punctuation 101. I'm trying to look up some YouTube videos on the subject to try and get better about it.
There are some very good tutorials online.
Yeah.
Even on some of the basic stuff that we learned back in the second grade, third grade. We talk and we say things and we use words, but have we ever looked up those words and checked what the actual definition is before we use it, or do we just use it based on what we've heard? And it's interesting. Most of the time, what we've heard is correct, but a lot of times it's like, what? This has nothing to do with that.
Well, that's also how words gain new meanings. It's just in common usage, they're used for something else long enough.
Yeah, and I'm all for English being a fluid language, but stop spelling quick with a K, please.
Well, then how can I go to the gas station? Quick Trip's my favorite chain.
Yeah, well, they should change their name. Businesses and products should not be allowed to creative spelling. They just shouldn't.
Yeah, intentionally misspelling things.
And I know that's a real, all right, I'll say it, anal retentive attitude, but
yeah,
come on, folks.
Well, businesses do it to make their name distinctive and easier for people to search, especially now on the internet.
Or they're too stupid to know how it's really spelled.
That could happen as well.
Oh, pardon my yawn.
Oh, I'm glad we're being that entertaining. We're putting ourselves to sleep.
No, I didn't. I didn't sleep much over the last day or so.
Yeah, that's I maybe it was before you even came in, Jenny. I was warning Mage that I haven't slept. The last couple of days I've had to get up a lot earlier than usual. So, actually, in between me posting the link for the stream and when we started the stream, I dozed off for about 10 minutes there and woke up with my hand still clutching the trackball as I was trying to post the link to another group. So yeah, I was afraid I was going to fall asleep during the stream here myself. So maybe we should just wrap it up here. And everybody can go take a nap.
What's sleepy? What is that purple? Serotonin?
Serotonin, the brain chemical?
No, in your name.
Oh, yeah, sleepy ceratopsin. Ceratopsin
as in
is the family group for
Triceratops.
Triceratops, Torosaurus, and all the related ones.
Okay.
Yep. all the dinosaurs with the big frill at the back of their head are ceratopsians. Because the number of horns will vary.
Well, of course, some are more horny than others.
Yeah, well, the number of horns goes anywhere from 0 to, I think, 26.
Yeah, I know, Mark. I'm a grammar Nazi. I try to keep it to myself most of the time. I know it pisses people off, but some are just so blatantly bad. You have to do something about it.
Yeah. Well, Mark, I'm working on a permanent solution to that, but I've got a consultation lined up with the surgeon.
And Mark, I honestly, I tried to do, if I'm going to correct somebody, I tried to do it in a private situation, and I tried to be gentle and try to get some teaching done with it, because I don't want to be a Nazi about it. I just want to help people and be a teacher.
No, that's excellent if you do it privately and you don't call them out in public. Calling them out on a public forum's a bit douchey.
Yeah, nobody learns when you insult them.
Yeah. Yeah, if you insult or embarrass someone, they're not going to, they're going to pretty much disregard what you're saying. If you send me a private note about it, I would appreciate that because, like I said, it's like I'm trying. It's just somehow in my brain, those kind of things just don't stick.
Of course, when you're dealing with a mega and they spell your as you are, or you are as your, you definitely bring it up in public. You just type the single word corrected and everybody gets to see it.
Yep. God.
Oh my gosh, we've gone 3 hours.
Yep.
Oh.
So let's wrap
Holy
it up
moly.
here. Jenny, you have any final thoughts?
No, rarely.
Okay.
Let's see. No, I'm not doing nothing.
Okay, Mage, you just started your own Discord server?
Yes. Basically, mostly before little watch parties and such. So we can, if you want, like I said, I wanted to do maybe a little watch party with at least the first few episodes of Zombieland Saga, which is a little fun anime. You can do, movies, TV shows, whatever you like.
Okay.
I have a section there for scheduling times I put in. So.
Well, I haven't watched much anime, but yeah, I'd watch a couple of episodes and see if it's something that catches my attention.
Yeah, just let me know a good date and time. Be good for you, and we'll try and work something out.
Okay.
Any day where I can't get the Packer game on a Sunday, that would be good.
Okay, so we know to set it up on Sunday, I hear.
But not every Sunday. Like this Sunday, the opening game of the season, I can't get it because it's on CBS, and I can't get CBS.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say it was only on a pay-per-view thing.
No, well, it is, but I'm not going to pay for anything like that.
Yep. If only they would pay me for every football game I don't watch.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Ember, everybody, copy down Ember's thing, or go and jump to it and put in a reminder, but write it down also because YouTube is pretty bad at those.
Yep, every Thursday evening.
Very much worth watching.
Yeah, and Ember tries to always put a positive slant on things. She tries to give us the good news. Which these days, the good news for trans people is usually about laws being defeated.
Good news for trans people these days is that you didn't get murdered yesterday.
Yeah. Like I said, I fully recognize that we're living in one of the safest areas for this, and I'm more scared for people in a lot of other states.
Yeah, absolutely. I just, of course, I've been in this a long time, and when I started, the hostilities were limited to a few nutcases here and there.
Yep.
Everybody else was either curious or just didn't care.
Hmm.
Um, and to have lived my life and to be in a situation where I have to fight like this and fear like this and be heightened awareness like this at my age, and that I've only got a number, short number of years left,
Yeah.
that I'm probably going to die with society still in just an absolute mess and danger for trans people. It just makes me so mad that it's like I spent these almost 50 years now trying to be me and trying to help society accept people like me, and it's suddenly become a completely wasted effort.
Hmm.
Well, I don't think it's a completely wasted
No,
effort
so
because I think
no.
you did educate a lot of people along the way. And, the polling and all does show that it's really just, you know, kind of the extreme right that's trying to push all these laws.
Also,
But
keep
when
go
asked
ahead.
about the individual subjects, it's still like 70 to 80% of the population in general, are will support trans rights.
And keep in mind, for a lot of people, it's confusing. It's new to them, and that can generate fear.
Yeah, but it was new and confusing 50 years ago too.
Yeah.
That wasn't very high profile, so not the general
Well,
public
that's true.
didn't really know about it. Now it's more high profile, so
Yeah.
and people are like,
Well,
"What is this?"
that's because on the internet, information gets around so fast that there probably are a lot of people who never thought about someone, being trans until they were on the internet.
Well, Mark, that's the way it used to be. I mean, we represent less than 2% of the population of the planet.
Hmm.
Why should there be much news of us? We're just insignificant numerically. And that's just how it was before. And it's the only reason it is now is that the opposition has decided to make us, first of all, evil and satanic and demons and perverse and all these things, and then made it sound like that we are a mass explosion onto society. No, the numbers haven't changed. It's
Although,
just your impetus that you've been given by the haters has changed.
Mark, I have heard from some other people in Australia that there are some politicians there who have, very vocal anti-trans messages.
Yeah, the number of people coming out has changed, and that makes it look like there's more
Well,
when there
yes,
wasn't.
yes, it has, but the basic numbers have always been the
Yeah.
same, right around the same number of red-haired
Well,
people.
and again, it's just because people have access to the information, that more people who have felt it inside, for many years are now feeling that, oh, I'm not the only one like that.
The important thing to realize in terms of numbers, okay, like especially when it comes to kids and the absolute bold-faced lies that they tell about trans kids, is they make it sound like that this is just a popular fad and that it's going to happen to almost every kid
Hmm.
um, and that's just not the truth. Some quick numbers: there's approximately 72 million children between the ages of 13 and 17, which are the ages that people receive gender affirming care. Out of that number, um, how many do you think are beginning to use puberty blockers or HRT?
Just off the top of my head, I believe the number was using puberty blockers or HR. That's a different number.
Yeah, it
Those
depends on
girls
how
like
you actually ask what kind of treatment, but it's between 1 and 4,000 across the whole nation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well,
was gonna,
you know,
I was gonna answer the how many have gender dysphoria. That's around like 42,000 if I remember off the top of my head.
yeah.
That
So
that would surprise me, but
Well, and
some
the message that they keep giving is that it's a fad, you know, and kids can just ask their doctor and instantly get surgery.
yeah
And it just
yeah
doesn't work that way. You know, they have to have a mental health worker with them, and they have to, you know, go through and it's a long process before they will even get to talk to a doctor about HRT, let alone any surgery.
what you
yeah,
learn when you're on the debate or areas of the internet and question and answer stuff is there are honest to God people, men, women, doesn't matter, whether they're 20 or whether they're 50, 60, 70. They actually think that children are getting complete surgery, bottom surgery, everything before they're 5 years old.
yeah. They're not giving bottom surgeries to minor.
Anybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the minors and the surgeries or the top surgeries they get is only in like only a couple hundred.
Well, and those were tending to happen anyway, for other reasons.
And one of the other reasons that the opposition states is, oh, well, those doctors and hospitals and pharmacy companies, drug companies are just doing it for the profit. It's like,
Yeah.
look, I see my doctor once a year for 15 minutes. Explain to me this profit picture.
Well, you have to go through counseling first. You have to get the parent or guardian consent, depending on the state, is one or both, and then you have to find a doctor willing to do this in the first place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot involved there, and so the conspiracy of you can just walk in and get it done doesn't pan out to what reality shows.
Yeah. Well,
Ember,
and
I
before
remember seeing Christine Jorgensen on TV. I'm that old. She if you haven't never seen her, she passed pretty darn well. She was very attractive.
the name doesn't connect to anything for me.
Oh, Perp, you must look her up. You really must. I think it's required education for all trans people.
I think I've heard her story, but I'm just having trouble. I am so lousy with names.
Her story is generally reflected accurately. There's a certain amount of sensationalism. Of course, it's the 50s and we're dealing with ignorance and yellow journalism.
Mhm.
But the truth to walk away from learning about that from is that she was not the first. She was just the first that the media found.
Oh, and the whole getting counseling beforehand, there is a certain amount of time you have to be in counseling too. I don't know what it is. I'm wanting to say at least 6 months, but it's just off the top of my head. So,
Well, for me as an adult to begin the process, I had to have been seeing a therapist for at least a year.
oh, okay.
Plus, I needed a letter from a second therapist. And that was just to get the drugs to start the HRT.
So I imagine
And-
it'd be similar.
Well, then I have to be on the HRT for at least 2 years. And then I needed, again, to get a letter from at least 2 mental health workers before I can get on the waiting list for any kind of surgery. And that's to get on the waiting list, which is generally backed up about 12 to 18 months. So even after I get everything else, I've been on HRT for 3 years. And even after I get everything else in line with all the paperwork, it's still going to be a year to a year and a half before I can get any surgery. So,
There you go.
For me, it has been, if everything had gone perfectly day by day, it would have still been a minimum of a 3-year process before I could have gotten surgery.
Now, Perp is in a special position that she'll be covered on her expenses for the most part.
Yeah.
In my day, of course, we had to pay every penny out of pocket.
Yep.
And so that added to the time before you could get surgery for most folks. And I had to wait 15 years between coming out and getting surgery. Molly, stop that.
You can hear her growling. She's got her
Yes.
ball.
I figured you
Molly.
were playing tugging toy or something.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the ball from her. She's not letting go. She's being.
Sprinkle pepper in her nose. No,
There we are.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Toss the dog and see if the ball knows how to play fetch.
Really?
Did you get that from me? That's pretty sick.
Yeah, I suppose it is more your kind of joke. But yeah, if you hear anything about anyone getting trans surgery like in under 2 years, they probably had to like go to Thailand to do it.
And don't listen to anybody whose opposition talk about Leah Thomas, the swimmer. None of them have the correct information. Every one of them is lying, either out of intent or ignorance.
Yeah, well,
okay.
And who's the boxer in the Olympics?
There's two.
I don't know her name.
Yeah, but they've been saying she's trans, but she's from an Arab country.
Maine.
Yeah. That, you know, the country she is representing,
Algeria.
Yeah, has that it is illegal to be trans in that country.
Or LGBT in general.
Yeah.
It's an Islamic nation, and there are a lot of Islamic nations that will throw you off the roof of the building if they find out you're trans.
Yeah.
Gay.
Yeah, and that's also why it's so dangerous for her to be even accused.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that, you know, if somebody in a government position got the idea that she had gone through anything like that, she might just disappear and never be heard from again.
Yeah. And so J.K. Rowling jumped on that bandwagon and said all sorts of terrible things about her, put out some 30 tweets about her. And suddenly he had to stop putting those up and actually took them down from the internet because she's getting sued for defamation of character. I can't wait. I hope she gets billions out of that bitch.
Yeah, I mean, that can be really dangerous for her in living where she is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no reason to say that Algerians won't believe too.
Okay, Amber's saying the current guidelines are 6 months therapy if you're under 18.
Okay, so the 6 month thing was I did get somewhat right.
Okay, yeah. Again, you know, it may vary from state to state. It may just be that my clinic has different rules than other places.
Oh yeah, I heard that, Amber. Isn't that just absolutely grotesque? God, that woman is just horrible.
Yeah.
I wonder if she really is a woman. You know, she might not be. We don't know.
Well,
some people say.
I've been hearing.
I'm just asking questions.
Yep. That's when you know that Trump is totally making shit up when he says, I've been hearing.
Mm-hmm. Well, we should probably drop that. We got distracted.
Yeah, we were supposed to be wrapping it up here, which would be a good thing. I have Kitty asleep on my leg, so I'm not going to be going anywhere for a while. But yeah, it wouldn't hurt for me to just put my head back for a while and see if I can catch a nap. So, okay, well, anybody have anything else to say? Or should I just hit the button here?
Yeah, you can hit the button.
Okay. Bye-bye, everybody. See you all next week.
Love you, chat. Be gay, do crime, don't get caught.